Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this episode, we're going to step away from buses for a moment and take a look at some of our other forms of transportation. Since we've added our new bus loops in many of the towns in this area, we can see the numbers at our train stations are pretty much higher than they've ever been. And while that's good for us, we need to be able to capitalize on it in order for us to make any real money out of it. Because at the moment, for example here in Cedar Rapids, we're starting to lose people because we're not getting them out quick enough. So I think it's about time we upgrade some of these trains and how the train tracks sort of function around in this area. And the first one that I want to tackle for today is between Cedar Rapids and Tucson. If we take a look at our destinations layer, we can see between these three cities there's a pretty strong connection here to Lexington, although that could be for other reasons, and there's a pretty strong connection here to Tucson. However, if people wanted to take the train from Cedar Rapids to Tucson, they'd have to come all the way down, stop at Lexington, and then go up to Tucson. So I think a lot of people in Cedar Rapids and Tucson would rather drive this short distance between the cities instead of taking the train. So, in order to fix that, I think we're gonna essentially turn this track into a big circle and bring it up and over to connect it to this station here. So in order to get that going, first let's get a track set up. We obviously want it to bridge over as much as possible. We'll pick our newer bridge so we don't get too many issues with the bridge pillars. Although this might be a little hard to navigate out of here. Alright, so now we were able to work our way out of the city here. We did have to delete a good amount of roads just to avoid all of the errors that we were running into. But now we can just take this track and run it all the way over to Tucson where we need it to go. And I think we might try to go under this highway if we can get it to work out for us. I'm gonna keep these slopes as low as possible. And we can try to bring the train back up over here. Just like this. And we should be able to hopefully just swing it right in to where we need it. And we should probably fix this road so it doesn't sit at a train crossing. And some of these roads so they don't get blocked off. Alright, so we'll get this in just like that, and our loop should be complete pretty much. Alright, so now that we have our track down, we're just going to need to bring across a second set of tracks. And I think hopefully if we get it just right, there we go, we can then just bring it around and we shouldn't really run into issues, but then we can connect it right up here, and we should be good to go. So we'll get our signals in, and then we'll get our trains running. Alright, so even though this is a full complete loop now, I think what we're gonna do is maybe just have one track going back, or one line going back and forth between Tucson and Cedar Rapids, because we don't really have the space to expand these stations much more, and I would like to cut down on the amount of track usage that we have. So I don't want to make it double tracked all the way around, although I suppose that would be pretty easy to do, but I think we'll keep it like this because what we have is sort of working, and then we'll just have a single train running between Tucson and Cedar Rapids. Alright, so for this sort of short shuttle line, I think we're going to use this GE E60 C2 train, and we're only going to have 3 cars behind it because I don't see there being too much demand, and if we get 3 of these trains on that line, I think we'll be pretty okay. So we'll just make this line go from Cedar Rapids over to Tucson, and it looks like it paths correctly. So now we have that line set up. Here's our new train coming out of the depot. I think this one looks pretty good. So hopefully that will begin to get some people off of these streets here, getting out of Cedar Rapids. And I think we are also due for an upgrade on our trains here. So let's come in and figure out what kind of train we want on this line. So I think for our line from Cedar Rapids to Lexington to Tucson, I think we might try this RE 450 commuter train, because as we can see here, it gets up to its top speed pretty quick, and it's even a little cheaper than our existing Metroliner trains. Now, it doesn't have much higher top speed, but I think because it can get up to top speed much quicker, this will probably serve us a little better. It can also carry about 20 more people per load. So let's try that, see what happens. Hopefully we won't lose too much performance with this switch. And let's just double check our demand, because we might even want to get another 1 or 2 trains running that line. So I think we definitely want to get maybe 1 or 2 more of these trains on there. So I'll take these and clone them. And if we look here, we can see it just rolling through here. Alright, so I was looking at our line that runs across the river here, and I just wanted to fix an issue where we had a bunch of trains waiting along this track here, because the station at Victorville only had 1 platform available at any time. So what I did was added another platform with tracks, and we put both tracks into each terminal with a little cross right here, and then we set some of the lines to be on 1 terminal or 1 platform, and some of the other lines to be on the other platform. So now, instead of having a bunch of trains waiting, if their platform is available, they can then just come right in even if another train is still loading here, and it essentially allows us to take on twice as many trains as we were before. So hopefully we won't have any hiccups with trains waiting here for other trains to clear a path. And I just want to check on the other side of this loop and see how it's holding up over here, which it seems like everything is doing okay. We might do the same thing where we'll pause this real quick, but instead of having that line just come in and connect there, we'll have it come around. I think we need to straighten up this first. But we'll have this line come into this platform, and this line come into the other platform. And then somewhere out here, we'll have them do a little cross where they can then get into their correct platforms. So, checking our terminals here, I don't really care or know which one would be better, but we'll put one of those lines in one platform and the other one in the other one. And we see here, we have tons of people waiting. So, if possible, we should add some more buildings, just to hold a couple more people. These ones only do 20 people at a time. But maybe out here we could get... We definitely don't have space for a large one. But out here we could at least get a medium one to sit. And then we'll just keep building all the way out to that. So now we should be able to hold a little bit more, although we're still sort of reaching our limits here. But hopefully this will get better. And this leads into sort of the next part I wanted to cover, and that is maybe getting better trains on our river loop train line. But first, I just want to quickly adjust something that we were working on before with this Bridgeport to Green Bay line. And if we look over here in Green Bay, this station has tons of people waiting, and I believe in Bridgeport it's pretty much the same. We have tons of people waiting to go between these two cities, and I think we need to either add some more trains or get replace these with something that's a little bit better. So I'm gonna mess around real quick, see if I could find something that works, maybe something that works better, and if not, we'll just add 2 or 3 more trains to this line. Alright, so I wasn't really able to find a better solution for what we already have, because I think what we have works with the distance between these cities and the amount of people it can carry. So I think what we're going to do is just simply add 2 more trains, and hopefully that'll add a little more frequency, especially on this longer end of the line. Now for our lines that run around this river, I think we're going to try to make slightly cheaper trains, and we'll get a good amount more than just the 6 that we have. Because if we look here, this train just isn't really making its money back, and I think it could be doing much better than it currently is. Okay, so I think this is the train we're gonna go with. We chose some lighter passenger cars just so we can get up to top speed quicker. And we chose this GE E60 C2 train again, just because it's almost half the price of, or half the running cost of the BR103 that we've been using. And I think we still get similar stats with it in terms of our acceleration and speed. And there's not too many points on this route where we hit the top speed anyway. So I think we'll replace all of these. And then we'll also come through, and I think we'll end up with a total of 9 trains on this route. So if we come here and compare the 2 trains that we were running before, the new ones that we just added save us almost, actually a little over 3 million a year in running costs. And if we look here at its statistics, it's almost the same in terms of its power ratings. If we hover over this, they get up to their top speeds in about the same times. I don't think we really have any high slopes, so we don't really need to worry about that factoring into anything. So I think overall, this new train is going to save us a good bit more money. So with that said, we are then going to take all of these trains and replace them with pretty much the same thing. So we'll come in here, get 5 cars, replace those, and then we'll also get 9 vehicles in total on this line. So hopefully, if we see here in the expenses tab, if we bring this running cost down to the 4 million, most years here we should be making a profit. Even some of its worse years will still at least be breaking even on the trains. So that brings me back to sort of the line we talked about at the beginning of this episode, this one that runs from Cedar Rapids all the way to Akron, having tons of people at each station. However, even with that, we're just barely able to make a profit. And I think it's just because this train's expensive, it can't get up to its full top speed between stations. And I think on this line at least, we should prioritize frequency over capacity, because we have no other lines sharing this track. So we can have as many trains on here as we want. So what we're gonna do is come in, grab all these trains. I think we're gonna pretty much make almost the same exact train that we've been making. And I think we'll only give it 4 cars just so it can get up to maybe even 3, just so it can get up to its top speed a little bit quicker than the alternative of what we have right now. So I did change my mind and we ended up going with this Russian class CHS4 just because it has a lot of power for its running cost, which is 3.3 million. So it's a little bit more expensive than the initial option, but considering this line that we're going to put these on is very hilly, we're going to need the best power and acceleration that we can get to get up those steep slopes. So we'll go with this. We'll reduce our capacity a little bit, but what we want to do is get even more trains running here. So we'll get 4 more to round it out to an even 10, and that should help get these numbers down at a lot of these stations. So as we look at our financials tab here, it still isn't looking too great for us. We're still losing a lot of money, but I think most of that's coming down to our investments We've been replacing and redoing a lot recently, and even though we were still losing money before that, we are beginning to make a little more money on some of our other investments, such as our road numbers here. You can see have gone up, although they did dip down recently, but I'm not too sure why that was. Maybe it's the traffic from the cities clogging up our bus routes when we first added them, or maybe it was something else. But as you can see, we seem to be making a profit yet again on our road vehicles. Our trains, however, is what's been sort of holding us up. So we did see some growth in these first two, but then it really dropped off, and even this period it's dipping a little bit lower. But I think that's just because we were working on it and holding up some of the lines, so they weren't able to run at their max efficiency. So hopefully now, with a lot of our running costs being lower, and you can see that reflected here, we're able to cut out almost 100 million in running costs. Hopefully as the month ticks over here, we'll actually get the official numbers. But even just a change in $100 million of running costs, you can see here in these earlier periods would have still made us a profit. And that's not even including the money we spent on upgrades and roads and other things. So yeah, now our financials just ticked over, and we can compare it with the previous months. So we can see we're back to making a profit with our road vehicles. Trains still going down, but again, I think that was probably due to interruptions that we caused ourselves. Maintenance is going down, which is a great thing to see. And then the tracks and infrastructure, not really much we can do. That's just due to how many tracks we have laid. But hopefully it'll begin to get better as we continue making our routes more efficient, more cost effective. Hopefully we'll see that begin to translate into more money, because as it stands, we are starting to lose quite a bit. A few episodes ago we were at 11 billion, and now we're down to just under 10 billion. So we are running on a little bit of a time crunch to get those numbers back to positive, but I'm sure we'll be able to get that in no time. So that's going to be all for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.